welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast. And today we're going to take a look at Mission Impossible Fallout. It's written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who had done, I believe, Rogue Nation. It stars Tom Cruise, Henry Cavill, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, and Rebecca Ferguson. The synopsis is Ethan Hunt and the IMF team, along with some familiar allies, race against time after a mission goes wrong. It picks up kind of after the Rogue Nation. Might have been a group that was responsible for a lot of the problems in Rogue Nation was called the Syndicate. Now they're working with a group called the Apostles, and the leader of the Syndicate, Solomon Lane, was arrested by Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, and now he's working with somebody named John Locke for some random reason that's trying to set off some nuclear bombs. So there's 3 nuclear bombs. Ethan tries to hunt down a scientist. They find the scientist and then figure out that there's a larger plot at stake. And Aaliyah, what did you think of Mission Impossible Fallout?
I actually really liked it. I thought that the fight scenes and the action scenes were really great. They were very fast paced, and I felt like, especially in the fight scenes, I actually felt that some of the hits, which I feel like it's kind of a waste if you have a fight scene and it seems extremely choreographed, almost like it's a dance instead of it being like an ugly, brutal, nasty fight. And I felt like these were ugly, nasty, brutal fights, which I enjoyed. I think they could have had a little bit more suspense, but I probably shouldn't say any more than that, right? Because that might spoil it.
Yes. All right, Matt.
All right, I love the movie. Normally, especially when a movie gets past 3 or 4 sequels, I'm looking at you, Transformers. Actually, after the second Transformers, it was crap. Undergoes multiple sequels. It has a tendency to lose its authenticity of what made it special. This is how you do a sequel. Intense action, going back to the roots of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, previous movies had different directors. Is that correct?
Yes. So the worst one was J.J. Abrams.
Gosh, everything garbage.
Terrible.
Yeah. But go ahead,
We'll
Matt.
discuss that when I get to mine.
The action was intense. I didn't feel that anything was scripted. It seemed to flow naturally. The music in itself to set up the mood, in my opinion, worked pretty well. The story, for me, there wasn't any part of the movie where I felt like, hey, I could go to sleep and I'll be okay. Like, it actually kept me up. A very well done movie. You could tell, as far as Tom Cruise, he's still trying to maintain I'm going to do my own stunts kind of deal. I think there was a part in the movie where I think he jumped from one building to the other, and I was like, did this dude just break his foot?
Yeah, he broke that thing. He was only out for like a week or something like that. He was back in.
Yeah, but this movie has everything you want. Action, suspense, a good plot story. And, you're not really tired of any of the characters. At least I'm not. After seeing them on the screen, how many? 6 times? Barry?
Yes, because you have Mission Impossible 3, and then Ghost Protocol, and then Rogue Nation, and then this movie.
I felt this movie was a well-written and produced movie. I'm surprised, at least in my movie theater, it wasn't as packed as it could have been. I know there wasn't really a lot of hype with the movie, but I really enjoyed myself, and I definitely would watch this again. I think this is probably one of the more underrated movies of the summer, given all the movies that have come out within the last couple months. But in my opinion, probably the best Mission Impossible in the series.
All right, Keith.
Man, this is like the biggest opening for the Mission Impossible series. They could have ratcheted the suspense in the plot line. I still remember the first Mission Impossible was more like you didn't know what was going on and just so many twists and turns happening. It kind of felt like a real spy thriller instead of an action movie. And then it kind of slowly segued into more of an action film. Other than that, that's the only negative I've got on it. Edge of my seat for most of the action set pieces, despite the fact that everything in the story kind of beeped up to the next action set, to the next one, to the next one. Once you got to a new action piece, it was better than the last one. Like the helicopter chase and everything from the Halo jump, it all worked. The only thing that didn't work were the jokes, the gags. The gags didn't work at all. I didn't laugh that much in the movie, but I felt that old thrill from it. And Tom Cruise can still do it. The guy can't do any wrong with Mission Impossible. Like the J.J. Abrams mess, the third one, fuck that guy. I mean,
so many problems with that movie. So many problems.
I guess I liked it back when I liked J.J. Abrams, but then that movie kind of was pretty fucking stupid. Probably the best one, the best Mission Possible.
Okay.
Like in terms of action.
All right, so for me, I like this, but did not love this movie. I think a lot of the problems with this movie comes from the plot. The plot is very convoluted when you get down to it, when it should be a little bit more simpler. So they telegraph a character turn way too early in the movie, and that kind of ruins at least a lot of the suspense in the later half. They understand that this character has turned, and
Agreed.
They play it off, but it would have been a little bit more suspenseful. They did not show this one particular scene being just that. It's like, oh, well, we know this guy's bad.
Yeah.
I do like the
Agreed.
Henry Cavill, Tom Cruise pairing, because at some point, I guess Jeremy Renner was supposed to be that next level of what Mission Impossible was supposed to be, and it would have been really good for Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise to be that, but the way that the story goes in a little slightly different direction. Didn't like the credits. I like the late title card. I like some of the callbacks to Mission Impossible 1 and 2, and then also 3.
Yeah, you got the character Max.
Yeah.
Then you got the Easter egg on that one.
Yeah. That goes back to Mission Impossible 1. That's who he meets. I think a lot of the secondary characters, so Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, and also Rebecca Ferguson, they take a back seat because obviously it's really Tom Cruise and Superman that is their movie. Like some of the stunts, but some of it just did not connect to me. And liked the stunts and liked a lot of the things, particularly that high altitude, low orbit jump, because apparently Tom Cruise did that. And
That was awesome.
yeah, but you get a lot of hallmarks with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise likes to run, so you have a scene with him running. He also likes motorcycles, so you'll get a scene with him in motorcycles. And that's pretty much...
Wait, he's had a motorcycle in every one, right?
Yeah, probably.
He's had a motorcycle scene in every one, I think.
I'm not sure about the first one.
Not the first one.
No, definitely the second one, because that's when he did the pirouette.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a John Woo thing, so...
Yeah. There's also another callback to Mission Impossible 2. Kind of towards the end of the movie, Tom Cruise is doing some rock climbing, and that is also in Mission Impossible 2.
Oh, that's right.
You guys felt that Superman was getting dumber as the movie was going on?
Yeah, some of that just goes to
Yeah.
the character, but that could have been written a lot better.
He should have been like the evil version of Ethan, of Tom Cruise's character.
Mm-hmm.
If he was the evil version of him, like super smart, like coming up with these crazy freaking plans and stuff. Because that's why I like Solomon Lane. Rogue Nation, he had that involved plot. He just like outsmarted.
He was just the
He was
equal.
it was like the two of them outfoxing, trying to outfox one another. And then at the very end, you see the payoff.
Tom Cruise is bested him at his own game.
Yes, and yeah, exactly. That was just what I liked. Then this one, it was more of a physical confrontation. They didn't do the whole "I'm younger, you're older" type of stick, which actually would have worked out better. I agree with you, like the stunts were kind of like back and forth and stuff, but Matt, to your point, Superman, they could have beat this character up a little bit more. I'm glad that they did a little bit more with Rebecca Ferguson's character.
I, again, think that she took a bad seat. So compared to Rogue Nation, where she was pretty prominent, she was the equal to Tom Cruise. And then her backstory for this one was just that she was a popular character in the last movie, so why don't we just bring her back? I don't really think that she needed to be there. That was also something that complicated the plot, that you just had to have a foil for what was going on.
Well, it sounds like he was like they're wrapping it up. The apostles are actually a part of the syndicate. Mark was just a dedicated apostle. He was one of the apostles. So, I mean, basically, we get the full version of what the heck is the ultimate kind of evil, I guess, the foil in the franchise, which is not a bunch of disjointed missions and stuff. They're all interconnected in some way.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. So, Aaliyah, what score would you give Mission Impossible Fallout?
I'd go with an 8. Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
Matt, what score would you give Mission Impossible Fallout?
I'd give it a 9. Non-stop action, suspense, best Mission Impossible in the series, and it does what many movies who have gone this far number sequels without, I guess with the exception of Fast and Furious. They've retooled the franchise. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another 6 or 7 movies, as long as it maintains this intensity and storyline. I definitely watch it.
All right, Keith.
I'm going to give it an 8.5. I'll kind of get between the two. This is like right up there with the original for me in terms of suspense.
Okay.
The Halo jump was excellently done.
Yes.
Fantastically done. I mean, that part where the thunderstorm, knocks out all sound, that was good. With Henry Cavill, Tom Cruise, and that bathroom fight scene, that was just some brutality.
I thought that would be a little bit more better than what it showed. That's all.
Superman saw Pumpkin laying into dude's ribs. I'm like, what the? I'm pretty sure he broke a rib. That stuff was connected. Cruise throwing dudes through windows. I'm just like, jeez. It was pretty damn brutal. And
it was a good fight scene. Amazing fight
real
scene.
Good. It was real good. And then at the very end, that was a good fight scene. Good stunts. And that helicopter chase, brilliant. Went from one piece to another. It finally wound down to that suspenseful end. So it's one of the better ones. It's not perfect. The gags didn't work. And again, I think the storyline, I agree with you in some ways, Barry. The plot line could have been a little bit better. So I'm going to give it 8.5.
All right. So I'm going to give this a 7. So a lot of my problems with the movie are that the middle of the movie is kind of bland. And that's where all the plot comes into play and all the telegraph turns. The beginning starts off well, the end starts off well. The very middle of the movie is where it starts to go downhill for me. There's too many times where someone was like, hey, you need to walk away. That line comes up in the movie way too often. I think somebody should have been a little bit conscious of that when writing, but I think that the Ilsa character should have been a little bit more prominent because she was the best thing about Rogue Nation. Out of the past 3 movies, this is probably the weakest. So I would say Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and then this movie. I would put this movie.
Really?
I would put this movie and Mission Impossible 1 on the same level, and then Mission Impossible 2, and then the J.J. Abrams one. At the very end.
You don't think this is one of the better Mission Impossible movies?
Ghost Protocol. Everything in Ghost Protocol is a lot better than this movie. Aside from maybe the Halo jump.
Yeah, Ghost Protocol was pretty much rock solid plot. It was streamlined. Boom, boom, boom. Stuff went down. The plot line was actually original. It actually showed them losing. And you got to pick up the pieces. So, yeah, I agree. It's a Ghost Protocol. But I'll rate this above Rogue Nation. Action was too damn good. I mean, I've never seen
this
some
movie
of the
is
stuff
good, but it's just kind of inconsistent. It's inconsistent from the way that the story progresses. And then what Matt was saying about Henry Cavill, him just kind of be a dope, or the way that he's written is to be silly and goofy at times.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to bring him back for the next movie. I don't care how. Just like so they can redeem him some way.
Star Trek, when they had Khan and Kirk work together, that's kind of what I felt about Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise. It was kind of the same. That hey, well, these two guys are working together. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Beastgate Podcast. You want to see Mission Impossible?